What you're about to watch is a special private training session for people who bought a copy of my book, Built to Serve. Enjoy. All right, insiders, how we doing? This is it. It's happening. So for the new people here, I created this group just as a little extra bonus for everybody who bought the book. It's important for me, at least, that you do something with the book. You know, we buy a book. How often do we buy a book and just kind of sits there on the shelf and we never take any kind of action on it, you know, or maybe you gift it to somebody. I see Candina's awesome Christmas tree there behind, and you gift it to somebody, and then it just sits on a shelf there. So community is a great way to do it. And also just access to me. I wanted to be here for you guys. Every week we do this. We do a poll in the Facebook group for a question, what you want me to talk about. And then we open it up to whatever theme, whatever's on your mind, how you're doing with the book, or even something outside that might be related. So this week's theme was, I would love to learn Evan's first 2 or 3 steps to starting the writing of Built to Serve. So I think how many who wants to write a book? Or who has a book? Who wants to write a book? Okay. So pretty much everybody. Great. I think a book has to solve a problem. Like a book, it's so much work to do a book that it's got to be something that has to be birthed, right? Like if you're writing a book just as a strategy, it's probably not going to be a very good book. A book is in you and like is fighting to come out. Like those are the best books. And I actually resisted writing the book for a long time. I never thought I needed it to open the door. You know, my agent would say, get a book, you need a book. And it's like, I have my YouTube channel. You don't need to have a book anymore to open doors. I never wanted to write a book. And then it came as a result of, I just felt that this message fit better as a book than a series of videos. And specifically for Built to Serve, which was the question, I was on my tour. I was crazy busy. We're doing a 23 city tour over 90 days. And I had no time. You know, I mean, like we're going every 4th day was driving and setting up in a new environment. Every 4th day was also seeing the city because Nina wanted to see the city. It's partly why we're going on the tour. So now I'm down to like 2 days a week of work. And I have to still do videos and still connect with my team and all the normal stuff that we have to do. And I just kept getting asked the same question at the first few stops of my tour, which was, how do I find my purpose? How do I find my passion? How do I turn it into a business? It's like, that's not that difficult. You know, here's the process, who I have. And then people kept saying, well, can you pick me and pick me and pick me? And that became that wasn't even why I went on tour. And I thought, you know what, this should be a book. And so about a third of the way through on my tour, I decided on the way to a coffee shop, I forget what city I was in. I said, you know what? I'm writing the book. And my team was like, what are you doing? Like, we barely have enough time to talk to you and we're behind on everything. And I'm the bottleneck for everything. And it has to come out of me, guys. This thing is living inside me and has to be birthed. And so that led to me writing the book. And I wrote probably 2/3 of it while I was on tour. And then I broke my neck while I was on tour. And as a result of that, just after I finished my tour, we had to go to New York for something. And I wasn't allowed to drive because I had my neck broken. So Nina drove there and back. I couldn't fly. Same thing, broken neck, like not allowed to go on an airplane because of pressure. So we had to drive Toronto, New York, about 9 hours there and back. And I wrote the last third of the book in the car, passenger seat, while Nina drove us there and back for the meeting that we had there. And it's the kind of thing where normally I get nauseous in the car. I can't look down for like 5 minutes to look at my phone if I'm the passenger. I don't do that when I'm the driver either. Ooh, what's Zane saying here? But for whatever reason, it was just flowing. And I wrote for almost all of those 18 hours there and back and finished basically the last section of the book. I think it flows more easily when you're doing nonfiction. I don't know what a process would be for fiction. I mean, Michael's doing fiction books. I think the best nonfiction books are the ones that you've actually been helping people. You've actually been coaching people. You've actually been doing things with people. And the book is basically group coaching. A book is coaching but it's one-way communication. And so you have to have done enough. Think about when you're coaching somebody, when you give them some advice, there's usually like, okay, yeah, but this, or yeah, but that. And like, well, how does it apply to me? And there's not rebuttals, but there's further questions that people have And you can solve that through a coaching process. In a book, you can't. Like in a book, you're saying something. If somebody doesn't agree with something or somebody has further questions, they're not talking to you, right? Most authors aren't doing something like this. There's no way to get feedback. And so what a great book does is answer most of those yeah buts. And you get the yeah buts because you've done enough helping people, speaking, coaching. You've worked with enough people through the methodology so that when you're presenting it, your thesis, your help, you can answer at least 90% of the yeah buts. And so I think a nonfiction book is a lot easier to write if you have the expertise, if you've been through the trenches, if you've helped enough people. And a lot of the parts in the book are based off of things that I wouldn't have written myself, but off of conversations. So for example, in Your One Word, my first book, I guide people through basically finding their who. Your one word is the who, from who, I, how, from built to serve, just really in depth. The process of finding your one word, your who, goes through the 5 essential questions. And it's always looking at it from a positive angle. Who was your favorite teacher and why? What's your favorite movie of all time and why? Always looking to the positive. And I was helping somebody, a friend of mine, go through that process. And we're sitting at a Starbucks under my office. And I started asking those questions. And he couldn't get to the word. He couldn't figure it out. And like, I can't get it. I can't tell you what it is. You have to, it's almost a spiritual process. Like you have to feel comfortable with what the thing is. And no matter how positive I went, we couldn't get it. So then I tried, more out of frustration than anything. Okay, let's go negative. Like what do you hate? Who are the people that you hate? And it's not that you hate them, but there's something about them that you don't like, and the energy that they put off, you don't want to be around anymore. So who is your worst boss and your worst friend and your worst? And he's like, oh, that's easy. And just list of all the negative people that he had in his life. It's like, okay, well, same thing. What are the 3 words that they're about? And we found the connection negative. And it said, okay, we'll just flip it. What's the opposite of that? And so it led to the concept of the anti-word, and then the opposite becomes your one word. And that would never have happened just from my own brain. That happened as a result of talking to him and coaching him through the process. So then that was put into the book to make the book better, because there's a certain number of people out there who are like him, who wouldn't be able to figure it out on their own. So my process starts with coaching and helping people and explaining the concept, and then getting having gone through it enough times that I know it helps enough people, but then you could put the framework into a book so it can reach a wider audience, and it doesn't require me to be there. I think in the coaching process, you can be a sloppy coach and still end up helping, in that it may take you 2 hours to get somewhere instead of 20 minutes, but you're still giving a lot of value in helping. But it's a sloppy process because you haven't refined the process yet, because you may not know how to answer every single question, because it's the first time you get asked a question, it takes more processing power to figure out the answer. But if you've been asked a question a million times, you know how to help them because you've been through it. Once you get to that level, then it's easy enough to go and write the book. It's just basically what you would say now in written format. So that was why. And then in terms of the process for how to write the book, at least for nonfiction, I start with the theme. Like, what top level? What does this book hope to accomplish? What do I want people to do? Right? With Built to Serve, it's find your purpose, turn into a business, go build your impact. Right? I mean, that's the thesis of the book. Okay, so that's the overall. Then it goes, what are the sections? At least is how my mind operates. And I don't think it works as well for a fiction book, but for fiction, I think it works really well. Main thesis, then the sections. So the sections are who, why, how, and turn into a profit. Those are the 4 sections. And then under each one, the chapters. And then under each chapter is the individual pages of content. And what I do is set up the structure from the start so that I know I can jump in. What I had a really hard time doing was both things at the same time, of being super in the weeds of writing one page. I'm trying to explain one concept and I'm actually at the level of writing it out. Remembering where that fits inside the whole thing, I had a really hard time. Thinking big and thinking small at the same time, I really struggled with. Maybe you guys are awesome at it. I tremendously struggled with it. So I had to do my architecture and structure. And then when I got to actually writing the content, all I had to worry about was writing this page and how it would flow to the next page. and knowing that it would all fit because I laid out the architecture. So that was my process. I'm happy to go deeper inside that if you want. But thank you for the question. If you want to get a copy of Built to Serve and join us live for our next training with me to ask your questions, you can go get the book right there next to me, right there. I'll see you there. I'll see you to get the book. It's a good one. Much love.